thanks for watching The Second Star. So today I'm going to talk about a disappointment in the Disney world. I'm sure we'd like to believe that all the Disney movies are real stories, or not, if not that, the actual stories that were written, but actually they're a lot brighter than the real stories. So today I'm going to give you 3 examples of Disney movies versus their real stories. Aladdin, The Princess and the Frog, and The Little Mermaid. So starting with Aladdin. The original story is called Aladdin. Aladdin is a Middle Eastern folktale that is within a book called The 1001 Nights, which is also called Arabian Nights. It's a singular tale amidst a bunch of other ones. In our movie that we know so well, it takes place in Agrabah, which is in the Middle East. However, in the actual story, Aladdin's Chinese. So the story begins with Aladdin living with his mother, and Aladdin is a troublemaker. He is a never-do-well, and the entire town knows it, including his mother. They're very poor, mostly because of Aladdin's mischief, and he finds himself stealing a lot, like in our movie. So this sorcerer comes up to Aladdin, and he's this old man, and he tells Aladdin that he is his deceased father's brother. So Aladdin is like, my uncle that he never knew. He's super excited. He takes the man home, but the mother doesn't trust this sorcerer. So the mother asks him, how can we know that we can trust you? So he uses his magic to make Aladdin look like a wealthy merchant, and he shows that he's only good. He's only using goodwill, and he only wants to help these people. So they're like, okay, fine. And Aladdin agrees to go into this magical cave and get the sorcerer one oil lamp that he wants. But Aladdin doesn't know that this cave is booby-trapped and that this sorcerer is not his uncle. So when he goes in and gets the lamp, he goes to give to the sorcerer, but the sorcerer traps him inside the cave. Aladdin luckily gets the lamp, just like in the movie, and stays in the cave though. So frustrated, Aladdin is rubbing his hands when he accidentally rubs a ring that the sorcerer gave to him earlier to promise protection. So this ring, out of this ring comes this genie. And this genie takes Aladdin out of the cave and brings him home to his mother. So his mother is obviously disappointed that the sorcerer was a liar, but she says, well, it's all right. We'll just take the lamp and we'll sell it and we'll get some more money out of this. So she's cleaning the lamp when suddenly she's rubbing the side of it with a rag, and a genie comes out of that one as well. But this genie is more powerful than the one in the ring that Aladdin had. So this genie makes Aladdin rich and powerful, and Aladdin marries the princess. What's her name? It's so weird. Aladdin marries the princess Badral Badawer. If I'm not saying it right, please tell me in the comments, but she's the Sultan's daughter. So Genie builds Aladdin and the princess, forget her name, this giant castle that's beautiful and way more magnificent than the Sultan's own castle. So the sorcerer is jealous, and he disguises himself as an old man and approaches the princess, saying that he'll switch her old lamp for a brand new one. And the princess has no idea that this lamp is magical and has a genie in it, so she willingly takes the offer, taking a brand new beautiful lamp. The sorcerer uses the lamp to get Genie and tells Genie to move Aladdin's new castle that the genie made for him over to his home in Maghreb. But anyways, the sorcerer tells Genie to take Aladdin's brand new castle to his home in Maghreb, including everything that's within the castle, which includes the princess. So Aladdin hears about this, and he uses the ring that he still has to conjure the less powerful genie, who can't go against the new genie's power, but this genie does send Aladdin to Maghreb in the castle, and between Aladdin's plan and Jasmine's cunning persuasion, which they don't specify exactly what persuasion that is, but I don't know if we really want to know. They get the castle back, and they destroy this sorcerer and get Genie and the lamp back, bringing the castle back to its original home. This is where it would be a happy ending, we'd think, but there's a very strange little excerpt at the end of this. The sorcerer's brother hears about his brother dying and is upset with Aladdin and comes after Aladdin. So he comes to the castle, the new castle, looking like an old lady who's known for her healing powers, and goes up to the princess, who still is unaware of all this magic, and she says, oh, known for your healing powers? Well, I command you to stay in my castle in case there's any illness. So she demands this woman to stay in her castle to heal any illnesses. But Genie tells Aladdin that this new woman in his castle is actually the sorcerer, and Aladdin kills the sorcerer before he can cause any trouble. And that's when they live happily ever after. The next story is actually a lot shorter than this one, but it's The Frog Prince. The Frog Prince is what The Princess and the Frog was very loosely based off of. But The Frog Prince was the first Brother Grimm tale ever written by the Brothers Grimm. Brothers Grimm, you know what I mean? And so basically the story is, this prince is transformed into a frog, and his very loyal servant, his name is Iron Henry, is heartbroken. And his heart literally breaks. So they use magic to put 3 metal rings around his heart to hold it together. Just a little side note, I'm not exactly sure why it's a major part of the story. But anyways, so this selfish, spoiled princess gets this golden ball. And so she goes inside her courtyard of her castle. She's throwing it up and catching it like any kid would do with a ball. And she throws it super high and she doesn't catch it. And it hits the ground and rolls down into a pond so deep that she can't see it. So she's crying and she wants her golden ball and she can't get it when this frog jumps up and he's like, listen, okay, I'll get you your ball if you're my friend because I don't have any friends. And then she's like, no, that's disgusting. And so he's all, please, just be my friend and I'll get your ball. So finally she agrees and he goes and gets her golden ball and then he asks to dine with her. And she says, well, no, you can't come sit at my table, you're a frog. And then he reminds her of their deal that she befriended him, so he goes and eats dinner with them. And then he asks her, well, now can I sleep with you in your bed? And she's so disgusted with him that she picks him up and violently just chucks him against the wall. And he hits the ground and transforms into this magnificent prince. And so she's all, I'm so sorry, you're so handsome, please marry me. And they get married. And so they get married and they ride off in a chariot to his castle, and driving the chariot is Iron Henry, his old servant, who is so happy that his heart was literally so full that it broke the 3 metal rings around it. So that's an interesting story. I'm not exactly sure how they got the Princess and the Frog from that, but okay. The next one is The Little Mermaid, and originally I thought, how could this be that much different? I mean, it's pretty obvious storyline. I thought it'd be the same, but actually it's a whole lot different. It's kind of interesting and dark. So this was written by Hans Christian Andersen, who is a Danish author. And the story begins when Ariel is living under the sea with her father, the Sea King, her grandmother, who's a widow but like inherited a ton of land and wealth from her husband, and her 5 older sisters, and all the sisters are a year apart. So the father makes this agreement with the daughters that on their 15th birthday, they'll get to go up to the surface and just look at the human world and come back down. So every single year, one of her sisters goes up and to the surface and looks around. Ariel listens intently to their stories of the human world and is so intrigued and just loves learning about the human world. So on her birthday, finally, she gets to go up to the surface and she sees this giant birthday celebration starting on a ship with Prince Eric, just the prince in this story. And a giant violent storm comes and knocks the ship over, and the prince falls out of the ship, so she saves his life and brings him to the shore, which is right by a temple. She brings him onto the sand and makes sure that he's okay when this woman comes out of the temple, followed by all of the prince's friends. And they come up to him and she scurries off into the water, so the prince lives thinking that this woman from the temple saved him and all of his friends, and doesn't know that the Little Mermaid actually saved him. Did I say Ariel at any time in this? Because that's not her actual name. Her name's not Ariel. So the Little Mermaid knows that this prince doesn't know that she saved him, and she misses him. She fell in love with him when she saved him. And so she goes and she talks to her grandmother. She asks if humans live forever. And the grandmother says that humans live a lot less than mermaids, who live 300 years. But when they die, they go into heaven with their god, while mermaids just turn into sea foam. So longing for the prince and now for eternal life, the Little Mermaid decides that she's going to go into the dark, dangerous parts of the water that no one's supposed to go into and talk to the Sea Witch. So the Sea Witch makes her this deal that she'll give her this potion that will give her human legs if she gives the Sea Witch her tongue and her beautiful voice. So she agrees. However, the potion has a lot of other catches. The potion, when she takes it, it'll send this sensation through the Little Mermaid that is like a knife going through her body, and then give her human legs at the end. But whenever she walks or steps or uses her legs, she'll feel like she's stepping on really sharp knives. Also, when she takes this potion, she loses her soul. And the only way she can get her soul back is if she marries the prince and he falls in love with her. In that case, part of his soul will come into hers, but she'll never have a full soul again. And if the prince marries someone else and falls in love with someone else, then the day after that, Ariel will turn into sea foam and just disintegrate. She's gone. So, along with taking the potion, Ariel gets human legs that can dance more beautiful than any other human. Ariel, being really stubborn and really wanting to see the human world, agrees anyways, and she goes to the surface by the prince's palace and takes the potion and turns into a human. The prince finds her and is enchanted by her beauty and her grace and brings her into his castle and his kingdom, but everyone else thinks that she's really stupid and mute and doesn't like her at all. Most of all, the prince loves watching the Little Mermaid dance, and though she feels excruciating pain with every step in her dance, she dances for the prince no matter what. So soon, the prince is very close with the Little Mermaid, and she becomes his favorite companion, and she follows him in all of his outings throughout the kingdom. But soon, his parents tell him that there's a neighboring princess that they want him to marry. So he agrees to meet her, but he doesn't want to marry her. When he meets her, he realizes that she was the temple girl that saved him from the ocean and falls in love with her and announces their marriage at once. So the Little Mermaid is heartbroken and she is sitting on the shore looking at the ocean, realizing that she's just going to become sea foam when she sees her sisters come up with a knife in their hand. And they say that they went to the Sea Witch and traded their long, beautiful hair for this knife. And if the Little Mermaid can just kill the prince with this knife and let his blood drop onto her feet, she'll become a mermaid and live out her years under the water. So on their wedding night, the prince and his new wife are sleeping, and the Little Mermaid goes up with the knife, deciding to kill him, but she can't bring herself to do it, so she throws the knife into the ocean and jumps in after it, but turns into sea foam. So when she turns into sea foam, actually she feels warmth on her, and she's wondering, how could I feel warmth? I'm dead, I'm sea foam. And she realizes that she's a spirit, one of the daughters of the air is what they call them, and she's with all the other daughters of the air. Because of the Little Mermaid's selflessness, the spirits tell her that as long as for the next 300 years she does kind deeds on mankind, she can join the kingdom of God with all the other humans. So that was a slightly happy ending, but it was also very depressing and not Disney. Anyways, thank you for watching. Next week, we'll be doing how to make ratatouille, minus the rats. And make sure you tune in every other Friday besides. Watch my last 4 videos. They're super cool. Like, subscribe, comment below which story you found most surprising, which story you want me to do in my next video on Disney movies. Your quote for this week is, remember, you're the one who can fill the world with sunshine, from Snow White. Thank you for watching again, and I'll see you next week.